Did you see what happened in New York this week? Help resolve some of the stuff that you're probably holding on to. You don't know who you can talk to about it. You don't know where you can go. And you're kind of dealing with it all up here, allowing people to do what they're already doing. Well, it's not that, right? Hey there. Welcome again to another week. And we're starting off with a little drum roll, applause and it all, because we've got a name for this little thing that we're doing on a weekly basis. And we're going with High Living with Chad. Now, you can take that any way. The way you interpret higher living is up for you. And you may have some initial thoughts that are kind of banging around there around what it can mean. But as you've seen over these few episodes that we've done thus far, you get a sense about where we're going to go. But also don't block that off, because what higher living means to you could be very different to what higher living means to me. But collectively and through engagement, and let me know how I'm going today and any other comments that you want to add into, let me know what it means, to live higher. And based on that, we're going to jump straight on, because did you see what happened in New York this week? I was like, with so much noise in the cannabis space. And I think this is shared from a lot of people that I speak to. There's a lot of frustration in the cannabis space on a global level around a whole range of things. So when you see something, or when we see something like what I'm about to share, I think it's time to kind of celebrate and be like, yes, because these decisions, and I know we need to acknowledge that there's probably a lot of stuff that has gone on that I'm not going to report on today and I'm not going to talk about. I don't know about it all, right? So just to say, in terms of this, there could be some other areas that are part of this story and this decision is made to kind of, sweeten what has occurred and maybe some injustice that has occurred more recently. We know the history of how cannabis has been a target. Yeah, so there's no doubt about that. But more recently, what's gone on in the New York market, which has been in many ways a massive balls up, because it started. One of the key things that peaked all this was cannabis was decriminalized. Licenses were going to come online, but there's the famous one of, I think it's Diddy, and he's smoking a blunt on the top of a police car. And so that's where it was set up. And then you have all your West Coast operators that came over to try to build an audience and try to get in there before regs. And you see people going to New York and they're like, it's awesome, I'm going to all these dispensaries, but they're all illegal. Well, they at that time, they were all illegal. So now seeing the news that's come out today, there's obviously some people that has been difficulty to get to where we are. And that decision has been made is that now, along with other rulings, but the thing that interests me the most is that at festivals and outdoor events, cannabis can be provided. And part of this is looking at the small to medium farmers. And so if you need a reference for this, think about boutique wineries and a direct relationship with the individuals that are growing your plants. So first and foremost, amazing model to get deeper to the people and the farmers with an F, obviously, that are growing the product. And then you're going into any event. Think about flowers, think about Sunday organic markets or Saturday markets where you are, and there's really nice fresh buds. So I'm not going to smoke that. I'm not going to vape that. That's not going to interest me, but I want that around. And I love that concept and what it does for small to medium farmers, and that winery model that I think can really be effective in understanding what your customers want. It's just, does anyone else feel it like I feel it? Because this is what we need, right? So not only are we supporting individuals to be able to monetize from that, you're able to get really unique grows, people that want to come in and support individuals and have that relationship, because if it's local, you want to shop local, right? And if you can have your people Who doesn't want that? Then at the same time, let's think about what it does to bring people out of homes and the apartments, etc., and get them into parks, get them back into markets to support business, right? So one of the things that I speak about in terms of services for young men, particularly, or males, is we can utilize cannabis and psychedelic medicines as leverage to get to these individuals that traditionally don't want to engage with human services or any support services, right? And there's a range of reasons for that. But if we look at, hey, this is something that you actually want, and while we're engaging with you, we may have the capacity to help resolve some of the stuff that you're probably holding on to. You don't know who you can talk to about it. You don't know where you can go, and you're kind of dealing with it all up here. And it's like, oh, solution, which is useful for me and goes away from that model, which may have heaps of side effects or hasn't worked for my mates, but this is exciting. Cool. I'm going to go for that. And at the same time, I may talk to a professional as well. And if you get that in, what is the widespread impact of that? And I know we got way off track there. I'm sorry about that. But I think it's important. It's an important example about touching people, right? So if we can touch people at different events, touch people as in connect, yeah? So if we can connect with individuals in different circumstances and bring them in, what does that then do for community? What does that then do for connectedness? And what happens when more people are out and more people are hanging around and consuming good food, good weed? What does it do? People are probably going to get happier, right? And then there's more probablys that go with it, these whole 1%ers, which brings us back to a whole cultural shift. And one of the core things that cannabis can do, and that is can help humanity. And I know it sounds super preachy, but it is. It literally can have that effect. Yeah, so we're looking at benefits to farmers, benefits to the wider community. Then let's go into what it means for the individual. So as an individual, and we see through different reports that have been completed, if we just look at festivals for a period of time, generally the festivals, and there will be some data below, above 70% at times, looking at different countries like the Netherlands, I think it's as high as 90%, where individuals on a range of different illicit substances, yeah? Whatever we think about that. Well, what happens though when we've got better, higher quality cannabis and ideally more healthy forms of cannabis, yeah, that can be grown in different range of circumstances. And what I mean by that is also the delivery mechanism and the genetics and how it's grown, how it's processed, etc. And then provided to individuals. And what does that then mean in terms of how they are at the festival, what sort of behaviors we're going to see, what sort of crime we're going to see. Yeah. And what I'm thinking about now is there is a quote, and I'll put it up here, that we reported on several years ago. And it's like, it speaks for itself. Like, what are a whole heap of people going to do, right? Just imagine it. Close your eyes and just think about sitting in the middle of Central Park with all the trees around you in the middle of the city, and you just enjoying really good cannabis, and what that then does for the soul, what it does for connecting with friends. And ideally we have a range of different products, so it's not just like high potency THC where everyone's just getting ripped. Go for it if you want, but have the balances, have the ranges, so people are able to go there and enjoy, sample, connect, and be part of these macro changes that can occur from what can seem like, oh, it's just like allowing people to do what they're already doing. Well, it's not that, right? It's not that at all. And it can have these macro changes. And if we get those macro changes to better communities, better individuals, and greater economics being shared by more people, well, what does that flow-on effect mean in terms of family life, next generation, etc.? Now, I know I've gone into way too much depth, but I love that idea, and I think it's a wonderful move forward, and I think it can really set a really good example for others to then be able to follow, to say, oh, well, look what they're doing. And that's the best thing, right? Let's have different models. Look what Amsterdam did. Look what Australia's doing. Look what the US has done in different states. Look what New York's doing. Look what's happening in the UK, And I'm sure there's other models, and I know there's a lot of other models around the world in different parts of the world that we can also reference, but there's just some that come to mind. And having that, we can then make comparisons. Oh, that's good. That can work as well. Let's do that for change, right? So let's actually have diversity of ideas that are evident within the cannabis space. And news like this excites me considerably, and I think is an absolute game changer for all involved. So let's see how it goes. Very, very exciting. Way more to go into, but I'm going to finish up. I know I'm talking a little bit today, so super excited. I'm doing this on a Friday afternoon. I'm wishing you all the best vibes to get through or to enjoy your weekend. If you are at a point where you are dosing macro or micro or any of your medicines, open on tracker, little plus sign down below, tap that. How you feeling now? Do your dosing, let that titration kick in. If you're having a macro dose and it's cannabis and it's flower inhalation, it's going to be around that 7 to 10 minute mark. When you come back and you just rescore and just think about that for a little bit. Oh, this is how I was coming in. And now only like 8 minutes later, I'm feeling like this. Okay, cool. When could I do that in a different situation? Yeah. Oh, what about that day at like work this week? Oh, that could be helpful if I then used it then. Yeah. Or someone who's doing a microdose or an oil, much longer titration, and maybe, it'll be interesting to see what your before and after scores are. But ideally, there's no bias, just reporting how you're feeling. You're getting that end score. And I hope that is an enjoyable way to spend this weekend. This has been an episode with me, Chad Walkerton, and it's great to have you along. If you've got any comments or you want to subscribe, please drop it below. Thank you very much.